Welcome back to the show for business owners, your first 1,000 clients. I'm your host, Mitch Russo, and I've been an entrepreneur, business owner, corporate CEO, venture capitalist, and company founder for the last 30 years. And if you're just joining us for the first time, the mission of my show is twofold: to uncover your potential and guide you to realizing it, and provide you with the tools and the wisdom to get your own company to 1,000 clients and beyond. My guests are leaders and business owners who have been selected to share their hard-won wisdom, who want you to avoid the potholes of life and cruise smoothly to your goals. My guest today is a business expert who has amassed over 1 million followers on his Instagram accounts. He's personally assisted hundreds of 7- and 8-figure earners to attain influence by building and growing an online brand. He's done all of this at the ripe old age of 26, and according to him, he's just getting started. Today is going to be more of a masterclass than an overview of his vast career, because at his age, how much history can a 26-year-old have? You're going to love him. Welcome, Alex Lombard, to the show.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Alex, awesome to have you here. And again, if I'm nice to you, maybe you'll mention me to your 1 million followers. Who knows, right?
Yeah. You got to be extra nice, though.
All right. You probably won't like it then. It's not going to work out. So I'm not nice. Anyway, as listeners know, we don't really pull any punches here. We just go straight for the jugular. And tonight's no different, Alex. So tell us a little bit about you. How'd you get started doing this stuff?
Yeah, so when I was 21 years old, I'm actually about to be 27 now. So about 6 years ago, I got into the game of entrepreneurship growing up my entire life. I was always the kid that was in school that was just getting in trouble, was always super active, hyper. As I got older, I started to realize that I really didn't want to go down the path that like my parents and family and everyone I knew in my life was going down, which was just go to school, get good grades, go out there, beg for a job, and then you hopefully land one, and then you work the 9 to 5 for the next 40 years of your life and kind of live for the whole weekend. That horror deal. And not that there's anything wrong with getting a job. If you love what you do, that's awesome. But for me, I just never really saw myself in that setting. So I was always looking for a way out. And so from early on up until about 21 years old, I was trying anything and everything you could possibly imagine to just have fun, be an adventurer, and make money. And, anything from trying to go pro at snowboarding, paintballing, just the craziest things, to trying to make it big in some of the early on social medias like Vine, when that was a big thing. Anything from, just traveling and making videos and just anything I could think of to go have fun and make money. So long story short, I hit about 21 years old. I got introduced to my first opportunity in the entrepreneurship world. I ended up meeting a couple people that were really young, that were making good money, that were traveling, literally had the life that I wanted. And then they kind of introduced me to just overall sales. I got into direct sales early on, started learning about mindset, business, entrepreneurship, what that meant, and, went through the journey from there. And then a few years into that is when I got really into social media, basically just saw what it can do. And I started meeting people that were younger than me, that were making amounts of money that I didn't even know was possible at that age through social media platforms, which was just so crazy to me. And so that really ignited something. And, for the last 5-6 years, I've just gone all in when it comes to branding and building an online presence through specifically Instagram. And then about 1.5 years ago is when I launched my first official company with a couple partners, which is called Invigorate. And it's just a full-scale digital marketing agency. So that's kind of the journey. That's how it all kind of came together.
That's pretty cool. So, Alex, as you probably realize, many people listening to this broadcast will have had their own experience at trying to start companies and trying to be successful. And maybe that journey has taken them decades to get to the point where they are today. You seem to have done it the way you describe it. It seems almost easy breezy. You just kind of woke up one morning, I'll just read about some mindset stuff and get started. But I'm sure it wasn't quite that way. Did you have a mentor or a coach when you first got going, or when you first realized that you wanted to be in the social media promotion business?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple things on that. First and foremost, I definitely want to clear up the fact that it was easy, because it definitely was not. I like to say that my story is like the ancient Chinese bamboo tree. If you don't know that, go look it up. But it's just an incredible story of, how you have to go out there, and essentially the idea is that you're putting in work every single solitary day and it doesn't seem like anything's happening. And then all of a sudden, you catch massive momentum. And that's literally what happened to me. For the first 5 years of that story that I just told you, I never made more than $1,500 a month ever in the first 5 years. And I mean, that's, me living on my own car payment, my own, household, everything. And so, and $1,500 a month didn't even happen until about year 4. And so you can imagine I went through some pretty hefty stuff, was always having to scrap and find ways to make money and just to pay bills. And went through a lot of issues and a lot of anxiety, big time anxiety and stress, and failure after failure after failure. And so definitely want to share that. And again, it really did take me until about year 6 when everything ignited for me, which was, not even that long ago. And it just caught massive momentum over the last year and a half, 2 years now. And so for all those that are listening, I just want to share that I don't really believe in an overnight success. I really do think that every single solitary person has to go through the trials and tribulations before they truly deserve the success. Because even if you get it early on, you're not going to be able to hold it. It's just going to go away. So went through that for a very, very long time. And along the way, though, to answer the second part of what you asked, mentorship was huge. I'm really big on having multiple different mentors for different things. I don't believe that one single human being has all the answers. But what I do believe is that there are, certain humans that have mastered certain things. So for me, I look up to different people when it comes to different areas of my life. For example, when it comes to social media specifically, I'll study big social media gurus, people like Gary Vaynerchuk, for example, people who have millions and millions of followers and massive, massive companies and have done great things all through social media, right? And then when it comes to maybe growing your mindset or personal development or just overall growth as a human being, I'll go study someone like a Jim Rohn or a Tony Robbins, and those guys who are more like life coaches. And so that's kind of what I've done over the years. I've just found different mentors and for different things. Of course, you have your big names in the whole entrepreneur space, like I just mentioned, like a Tony Robbins. But I just think it's important for whatever you're doing, whatever industry you're in. If you're in real estate, go find a big real estate guru that's their thing. That's what they know more than anything else, and learn from them. And so that's kind of how I've always viewed mentorship. And I've had a lot of them along the way, and I've had a lot through audios and, events and books and things like that.
Sure. Well, first of all, I feel better now that I found out you didn't succeed the first month you started trying.
No chance.
Because my journey certainly was not easy or quick or simple. It was as convoluted as yours. You talk about making $1,500 a month. I mean, again, we all have to start somewhere. I actually built a company and went almost 2.5 years without a paycheck. So, I mean, and there again, when the momentum kicked in, when that flywheel started to spin faster and faster, we were generating millions at that point. So it really happens in a way that is nonlinear. And if you think it's linear, or if you're expecting that because you did X, Y will happen, it's a harder journey, because obviously for anyone who's been through it, they know that there's many, many, many things that you try, invest in, courses that you purchase that don't work for you, et cetera, until finally that one thing, whatever it is, even if it's going to college and getting a degree and moving directly into a specific profession, it's totally okay. So, Alex, as I mentioned in the intro, I think I have a pretty good idea of where you come from and what you're about in terms of your professional life. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to turn the rest of this show into a teaching experience, a masterclass, if you will, for my listeners. So I want to start at the beginning. So let's say that I am a doctor, lawyer, engineer. I have a small agency, whatever that may be. Maybe I'm proofreading for a living. Maybe I'm selling stuff on Etsy, whatever it may be. Where do I start with social media, and how do I take that and grow it? That would be the first question. So give us some step-by-step things to do to start, build, and grow a social media presence. And you could choose Instagram if you like, or others if you think they're worth mentioning.
Sure. So I love that you said, doctors, lawyers, and things like that, because a lot of those people think that they've either, number one, missed the boat, or number two, that their profession isn't interesting enough to build a brand. And it's just not true at all. You don't need to be a young millennial that does everything online to have an online brand. In fact, a lot of the clients that I work with, they don't have that at all. They are a doctor, they are a lawyer, they are a business owner of some sort in some different area that's very traditional. And so my point is that absolutely anybody in any field, in any industry, at any age can go out there and absolutely dominate when it comes to social media. The cool thing about social media is that it's the ultimate equalizer. It's a completely equal platform. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you've done, what your background says. Absolutely anybody can go and find results and acquire, a new client's business and build a brand through social media. And so with that being said, when it comes to getting started, the biggest thing that I coach on people is, first off, you have to choose one. Obviously, the goal eventually, if you really want to scale it, is to be dominant on all different major platforms. But to start off, they're all their own monster. They're all their own beast. There's so much that goes into every single one of these platforms. I mean, Facebook is a multi-billion-dollar company. There's so much that goes into that platform alone. To think that you can just start right away and do really well on 5 different social media platforms, you're just not. It's way too much work. It's way too much effort right off the bat. And so what I recommend you do is you choose one and you master that one. So I chose Instagram. That's what I'd recommend everybody do, because Instagram is right now actually is the fastest growing social media on the planet, just hitting over 1 billion active monthly users in 2018. I mean, those numbers are absurd. They're growing by over 100 million new people logging in every single month, right? So there's momentum there. And if you can catch that momentum for your profession, it can do so much, with your life. And I could go on and on about different stats and numbers and things like that. But being that I've done a lot with Instagram and that's what I personally do recommend, I'm going to talk about that specifically. And then all the rest of them, you can just build on your own or, go and of course get a course or learn from somebody else that's done it. But with Instagram, number one, you got to obviously start out, right? You got to choose that that's what you want to do. You got to kind of decide on what your brand's going to be. What are you going to share with people? What are you going to tell people? What's your brand all about? The biggest question I ask people is when you're starting out, you got to ask yourself, why would someone come over and follow me, right? Why would someone follow you? What value are you going to give them? And so that's the beginning, is you got to start and you got to kind of choose what your brand is all about and what you want to do. So that's kind of number one. The second thing I'd recommend is being active on your account. A lot of people think that this is kind of like a duh situation. Like, of course, I'm going to be active, but I work with so many clients that just don't do this. I look at their pages and they haven't posted in months. And what I'll just tell you is that the way that Instagram and any social media platform works, for that matter, is they're going to reward activity. So when you post, when you're engaging with your people, you're using the different features that the platform allows you to do. In Instagram's case, like IGTV or your Instagram stories, those features, when you post on those things, including your wall videos and images, you're going to be rewarded. You're not going to gain a following if you're not active on the platform. Okay, so that's the second thing that I would recommend. The third thing that I would say is really get clear on your content. Content is king on Instagram. Okay, I'll say that again. Content is king on Instagram. Above all else, if you don't have quality content that looks good, that's sharp, that's vibrant, and then number two, second part of that is it's clear. The message is clear, meaning that it represents who you are and it provides value to the individual that's coming over. You got to have those things. Your content needs to tell a story. You can do that through your captions, right? So I'm kind of just throwing a lot out there, but these are just some things to think about when it comes to building your brand. So your content is king. Make sure your pictures, your videos, the things that you're putting out there, including your captions, that they're clear, or their quality in terms of that they actually look good. They're not just blurry pictures of your dog, and that they are clear, the meaning that the message is clear. So I'll give you an example. If you go to one of my accounts, it's literally just a motivational quote page. Okay, so when you go to the account and you look at it, you know what you're getting. You know right away, oh, this is a motivational, inspirational quote page. That's what it is. So if you like that, you're going to follow it. And if that's not for you, then you're not going to follow it.
Let me ask you a couple of quick questions. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just have to ask you a few questions. I want to unpack a little bit of what you said before. The first thing you said, and I think it's very important, and I agree with you, quality, the quality of your posts, the contents, meaning the visual quality, the content quality. But what would you say about the strategy behind posting witty phrases or quotes from famous people? What am I actually gaining when I constantly post quotes from Thomas Edison and Zig Ziglar, etc., other than a follower who is possibly following me just for the purpose of hoping I follow them back? Why am I doing this? What am I gaining?
So you're saying what are you gaining specifically as the owner of the account?
That's right. If I'm the owner of the account and I'm posting all of these inspirational messages, what is the end goal to doing that, and how does that support my company?
That's a really good question. So That's up to you. So that's actually a big thing that I preach on as well. I just was at this mastermind and I talked all about Instagram to these people. And that was actually one of the questions that I challenged them to ask themselves is, what is your end game? What are you trying to accomplish with your account? So for example, when I first got into Instagram, there was 2 reasons why I got involved. Number 1, I wanted to make money. That was it. I literally just wanted to make money. And number 2, I wanted to recruit people into the business that I was in. I was in a direct selling company and I had to bring on new recruits. And so that was my goal. I wanted to find people that were like-minded, that were interested in my opportunity, which in turn made me more money. And so that was really the only reason I got started. And that's really what drove me for a very long time. It's turned into a lot more than that. But if you're on here and you have a business and you want to get on Instagram for your business, then your goal is to build what I like to call a cult-like following, a culture of people that are following you in order to eventually provide enough value that they will purchase from you whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, so the posting the quotes or whatever, that's just an example. That's just one type of brand. There's endless amounts of brands that you can go out there and build. I got into that quote game early on just because that's what I saw. That was kind of the first initial representation of Instagram that I had, was if you went out there and posted awesome quotes, you could build a big brand and people would come and pay you. And I actually got to that point. I have big companies and big entrepreneurs that pay me money because they look at my account as like a giant digital billboard. And that's actually a really cool lesson I've learned. And I would kind of throw this back to you and people listening, is look at your account as just that. It's a digital billboard that you get to control and you get to do whatever you want with it. And the bigger you get that billboard, the more people it's reaching. It's almost like having a billboard in like this little town where there's 500 people versus having a billboard in Times Square, New York. Obviously traffic is huge. And so that's what your account is. And when it comes to the type of content you're posting, it's just all relevant to the type of brand you're building, which comes from what's your goal? What do you want to do?
Okay, so that answer is not good enough.
Okay.
I'm just telling you right now, it just sounds like to me like you're wasting a lot of time posting quotes that, who's going to be passionate about following me because I'm posting a quote every day from a famous person? I don't buy that.
Sure. So if you're trying to build a personal brand, then no, you wouldn't be posting quotes every day, because you're absolutely right. It's not going to do anything for you specifically. What I'm saying is that I have a personal brand that's all about me, and it's my life, my journey, my businesses. I share value in the captions. I do put up quotes here and there, but most of it's just my journey and my life. But then the other brand is a quote page. That's what it is. It's not me. It's not my business. It's literally just an Instagram page that's a quote page.
Okay. So let's say that somebody who's listening to this show is a coach, a business coach or something along those lines, and they want to use Instagram to boost their coaching business. Do you recommend that they go ahead and do what you said and post quotes from famous people, or what should they do?
Yeah, no, the issue is that you're getting caught up in the example that I gave.
Okay.
The quotes is literally just an example of an Instagram type of market you could be in. For someone like you just said, they would be in what's called a personal brand. They're building a personal brand around themselves and their business and their coaching business. So yeah, they could throw quotes in. I always recommend throwing cool quotes in along the way. That's not your focus, but you throw them in there because they just relate to people. It kind of builds that connection with people. A lot of people like hearing quotes from famous people that they have a relationship with. And so you can throw them in there. Doesn't hurt. It's a great thing to do. But to answer your question specifically with like a coach, what they would want to do is what I mentioned earlier about building that culture, that cult-like following, because they want to acquire clients. And the best way to acquire a client is by somebody who trusts in you, they believe in your services, and they know that you're going to provide value to them. So they want to give you their hard-earned money in return for your services. Well, it's hard to do that if you don't build a following of people that trust in you, right? And so that's what you can do with your Instagram account, is through your content, through engaging, through your videos, your stories, your captions, your bio, everything that comes with the full package and consistency, you can build up that following of people that are following you because they actually like your message. They like the value, the stories, the content that you're giving them. And then over time, they can work with you, right? And then we can get into all the different ways of how you can get people to do that. But you have to build the base. You have to build the foundation. You have to build the culture through your account before you're ever going to acquire any sort of clients.
Sure. Okay, but I want to get even more granular. I want to know what I'm posting. So, okay, you said it's nice to post some quotes from famous people. Fine. What else am I posting? Give me an example that if I want to attract clients, what kind of pictures would I have of, how does that work?
Okay, so you're in a coach. Let's use the example of a coach. Are you talking like a life coach or like a fitness coach or either one?
Let's say a business coach.
Business coach. Cool. So what I would do if I was in the profession of being a business coach and my goal was to acquire clients that I could work with that would pay me money to help them with their businesses, what I would do is my Instagram account would be a mixture of a few things. On Instagram, if you look at any account on Instagram, there's 3 columns. Okay. So each one of those columns you can literally use as like a different theme. So one entire column could be motivational quotes. That goes right along with business. It relates to a lot of people in that space. Another entire column could be all about your life. So the things that you're doing when you're with a client, you're posting about it and you're talking about the success of that client and that they've had. It can be when you're traveling, you take a photo of you on the plane talking about, how you have the freedom to travel and you love it and it's great and where you're going and things like that. You're talking about your passions, what you enjoy. This builds the connection with your people. To build a connection with somebody, they have to relate to you and like who you are, and they want to have the life, especially in the coaching business. You have to kind of show them that, hey, I actually live this life. If you want to live this life, we can work together and I can show you how to do it, right? So this is, again, just a suggestion, but that's another piece. And then the last thing, real quick, the last thing that I would do is the third column. Maybe you put up videos, and in that third column, every single post is a video, and it's literally you just giving pure value. It's you getting on for 1 minute, and you're just sharing a concept. You're talking about mindset. You're talking about money. And you're just giving value. And then people see that and they're like, wow, I learned so much from this guy. I want to work with him. I love his lifestyle. I want to work with him. So there you go. That's kind of if that's what you're going after in terms of an example of a coach.
Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, so now I'm in the car. I pick up my phone. I record a 30-second video. I have an inspiration. I record another video. I have famous quotes in column 1. I have personal stuff in column 2. And I have sharing video experiences in column 3. Okay, I get it. So first of all, how many times a day do I have to be posting like this? And how long do I have to do it before I can make money with this?
Yeah, so in terms of time frame of posting, when it comes to a personal brand, especially if you're just starting out, I usually recommend posting if you can do once a day or even once every other day. Even if you're just starting out, once every other day would work as well. But yeah, I mean, once a day, if you can get in the rhythm of doing that, you put up a solid post with a good caption, once a day, and you do the post once a day, but then you're on your story, right? Because that's a different feature. You're on your story throughout the day because your story can be endless. And that's just, again, I do an entire session on just your story and strategies there as well. But being on your story brings value. It allows you to connect with people in a completely different fashion, and it gives people kind of an inside look at your life as well. So, but in terms of like your posting, I would do once a day if you can. If you can't, do every other day. So that's in terms of posting. In terms of making money, that one is hard to give you a time frame on because at the end of the day, you can make money day one. You don't know when somebody's going to reach out to you. Of course, there are certain things you can do to kind of enhance that. But what I would say specifically, especially with something like that, like a personal brand, or again, every market is going to be a little different. But with a personal brand, Instagram, your following equals influence. Perception is reality, right? We all understand that. We all know that. Perception is reality. People perceive following as you're an expert in your space. I'll give you an example. If you have 2 coaches, both business coaches, both of them are highly successful, but I don't know that. But I go to their accounts. One of their accounts on the left-hand side, let's say, they have 100 followers, and then they're posting great content. Everything is the same. The 2 accounts are identical. Bio's the same. Content's the same. Everything's the same. This account over here on the left has 100 followers and gets 10 likes. I go to this account over here on the right. They have 10,000 followers, and they're getting 1,000 likes. Which one do you think the average person is going to want to work with and give their hard-earned money to? Obviously, the bigger one, right? So there is definitely some validity in having the following and building the following before you really start to see clients, money, again, whatever it is that you're trying to acquire from it, start to come in, especially in the younger generation, my generation and the lower generation, because perception is reality. That account with 10,000 followers, they may not even be as successful as the guy or the woman over here with 100 followers, but because they have 10,000, in my mind, they're an expert. They're an influencer. They know what they're doing. I'm going to get my money's worth because this person is obviously successful. And if you agree with that or not agree with that, it's just the way it works, So
I understand completely. Listeners, we are talking to Alex Lombard. He is a social media expert, and I have literally grilled him for the last 20 minutes as to exactly what to do to either make money and grow your social media. If you want to read every single word we have shared today, if you want to get the free giveaway that we're going to talk about later, if you want to visit Alex on his official website, then I would suggest that you go to yourfirst1000clients.com. You go to Alex Lombard's show page, and on that page will be everything we've talked about, everything I mentioned. So, Alex, once I start posting, how do I get to build my following? What has to happen? Is there anything I have to do, or do I just post every day and kind of hope somebody follows me after that?
Yeah. So building a following is, the main question, right? That's what most people, they ask. That's what they want. And a lot of our services provide that. To answer your question, no. By just posting, yeah, sure, you'll gain a little bit of traction. You may gain a few hundred followers over time, maybe a few thousand, but you're not going to get into the tens of thousands by just posting. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. So on Instagram, there really are only a few ways that you can do in order to go out there and build a following. The first way is through just organic interaction. What that means is you're going out there and you're actively liking, commenting, following, and engaging overall with individuals that are also on Instagram, particularly related to your market. So the way you could do this is you go in, let's say you're, again, I'm using the example of a business coach. Maybe you go in and type in the hashtag coaching or business or money, financial success, travel, whatever, something related to what you do. And you go in there and you start finding other people that are using that hashtag, that are active on Instagram, and you start engaging with them. You start liking their stuff. You start commenting and leaving genuine comments on what they're doing, and maybe even giving them a follow. Following somebody is the most powerful action you can take on Instagram, by the way. So doing that consistently every day, that's going to bring over followers. We've had people, do this where they've gained 300, 400, 500 followers in a single day just from being active for an hour straight on Instagram. So that's one way you can go and do it. Now, of course, on top of that, there are automated ways of doing that where you can really scale that, and it just totally depends on what you're looking for, but that is there as well. So you have that first way. The second option is what's called influencer marketing. This requires capital. Basically what it is you're going to go to big time influencers in your market. You're going to find people that have 100,000 to 1 million followers on Instagram that have a following of entrepreneurial, motivated people. And you're going to pay them to promote you and your services. So you can kind of do it in two ways. You can do it in the form of trying to gain followers, meaning that what they do is, we'll post. I do this all the time for people. I'll post a story or a wall post or a video. I mean, there's a lot of different options promoting your page. And I'm just like, hey, go follow this guy, right? Digital billboard. I'm promoting for you on my billboard to send followers your way. So you can do that. The other side of the coin when it comes to influencer marketing is what's called direct response. And what it is instead of promoting your brand, you're promoting your services. So you're asking about making money. This is actually something that's pretty cool. It's a little hack on Instagram. You don't have to have necessarily a huge brand to still make money if you're willing to invest. Because what you can do is you can approach big time influencers and you can actually pay them and you can promote your services. You can promote your website, your funnel, your whatever on their accounts and put it in their bio and in their story and have their followers go and swipe up or click on the link to come over and work with you or, whatever it may be that you're selling. But that's another option as well when it comes to, growing accounts, influencer marketing. Like I said, it does require capital. And, of course, it's just dependent on how much you want to spend. That'll determine how much you're going to gain.
What's the price range of something like that?
It really is dependent on the individual you're reaching out to and the size of their following. But generally speaking, you're looking at anywhere from like $50 to $100 at someone that, has 100,000 to like 250,000 followers. And then you start getting into the 500,000 to 1 million range, it's going to start to scale from there and you'll start hitting the 1 to 200 mark. And then, of course, you have like your bigger guys that have 2, 3, 4, 5 million, and they'll definitely charge you a lot more, $400 or $500 a post.
Sure. Even so, that seems like not much money. Maybe I'm being delusional here, but it seems to me that that's actually quite a good deal. If you could spend $50 or $100 to reach, say, 100,000 people with a personal type of endorsement, that seems like a good value, is it not?
Yeah. No, it absolutely is. And it's actually a huge thing that a lot of big, my mentors and stuff talk about in this space is that so many companies, so many people out there, they're caught in the old ways of thinking that, marketing needs to be spent on billboards and expensive commercial ads and radio ads and things like that. But the new era of marketing is online, and it's so cheap right now. It really, truly is so cheap right now. It's exactly like you said. People in business are willing to spend 20, 30, 40, $50,000 when they first start to go into debt to get their marketing going. And it's like, but they're not willing to spend $1,000, on a platform like Instagram, which just really doesn't make any sense. But the companies that are doing this, they're winning. They're the ones that are really crushing it right now in any industry. And so, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. And that's why I still do it to this day, even though I have a big following. So,
of course, of course. So what other monetization methods are there other than buying, borrowing with money influence from someone with a very big following? What else can you do to make money on Instagram?
So when it comes to your own personal stuff, if you want to make money, obviously there's the two main ways are you're acquiring a new client or a lead or whatever, a sale through your own brand in the form of they follow you, they like you, they respond to your stuff through like a call to action where you're telling them, hey, if you want to work with me, go click the link, things like that. And as you scale and as you build out your brand over time, you're of course going to acquire more and more people in sales. So that's option one. Option two is if you want to leverage other brands like I talked about, you can go out there and pay them and again, just pay for marketing and then they'll go and promote for you. So that when it comes to your own stuff, those are really the two main ways to do it. You can get creative and you can do the whole, there's things like you build out a massive email list and you're just driving traffic to it and then you're providing a bunch of value. And then over time, you're slowly putting them into like a sales process and things like that. And you can continue building that kind of stuff out over time. But when it comes to monetization overall, if you're open to other things, one of the biggest things that I've honestly made a lot of money with, and I would recommend people, especially if you don't have your own product, you do, is you look at like affiliate offers. You find incredible affiliate offers that are a great offer that come with a funnel and everything's done for you and you just get your own unique link and you go out there and you kind of apply the same strategies and you treat Instagram like a digital billboard and you go and you promote it. That's another great way you can make some money on Instagram. And then another one that I've done and has also made me a lot of money and has actually gotten me to the point where I've been able to work with, 6, 7, and 8-figure earners is actually just through networking on the platform itself. So what I mean by that is, on Instagram, what I would do, and I still do this to this day, is I'll go and I'll find people that I think would be a perfect client. So in my world, a perfect client is a 6, 7, 8-figure earner that's crushing it in whatever industry that they're in, whether it's, network marketing or it's real estate or insurance or whatever it may be. But they don't have a big brand on Instagram. They have, ideally like 1,000 to 3,000 followers. And what I'll do is I'll literally reach out to them. I'll shoot them a direct message. I have like a script that I'll use and I'll basically just introduce myself, let them just be super bold. I'm like, hey, this is what I do. This is what I can do for you. Here's the benefits of it. Here's a few examples of people I work with. Would you be interested in jumping on the phone? And then after I shoot them a direct message, I'll go and I'll like their last 3 photos on their page. I'll comment on their photos and I'll let them know, hey, I sent you a direct message. Go check it out. And then I'll even email them if they have that option. I'll shoot them an email or even a text if they have that option. And again, just driving them back to the direct message, letting them know, again, who I am. And hey, go check out this message. I think you'll really enjoy it. Of course, this takes a little bit more manual work, but it really does work. And it really starts to work even better when you start to grow, when you start gaining that influence yourself and people see that. They're going to respond a lot more. But even without the influence, it just comes down to numbers. It really does. And so that right there is probably, other than influencer marketing for companies, this networking piece is probably the biggest piece of value that I could give your audience and in terms of monetization, because it seriously has changed my life just by doing those steps consistently over time.
Yeah, Alex, I think that's a great tip. And I think it's very valuable. As you're talking, I was thinking to myself, I could start an Instagram account. I could go onto Amazon, and I'm an Amazon affiliate like many of us are, and I could start pulling products every day and posting them on Instagram and start building, I guess, affiliate revenue from Amazon directly without having to build a website, without having to do anything other than grab the link for the product, get a picture of it, and boom, there it is on Instagram. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's not going to create a very professional image of me, but then ultimately that's not what the account is for. It's to sell stuff from Amazon. That would probably work out if one was willing to take the time and go through the process of doing it. What do you think?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think you should definitely do that.
Okay. All right, good. Well, that's as soon as we're done, that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, Alex, we have really covered a lot of good stuff, and I think you've shared some ideas I haven't heard before, and I very much appreciate that. Listeners, I hope you feel the same way. If you do, then you're going to like what I'm about to tell you next. Alex has offered to give away a free guide on monetizing Instagram. And when you go to the show page at yourfirst1000clients.com and go to Alex Lombard's show page, you'll see the link on how to grab that free guide. The other thing that Alex has offered, and Alex, if I'm saying it the wrong way, then correct me, but when we spoke earlier, you mentioned that you'd actually be willing to talk to any one of my listeners who would like a little help in either getting their own Instagram account or their own social media account to the next level. And all they'd have to do is go to your Instagram account and message you there. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay. And another thing that Alex has is he has a web page with, those cheesy pictures of guys with Lamborghinis. Well, Alex is standing in front of an awesome half electric, half gas BMW, which I'm sure he rented, but he claims he didn't. So, okay, whatever. I know I would have rented it, but anyway, go check out his webpage as well. It's right on his show page. Alex, before I let you go, I have a question for you, and it's a question we always ask, and the reason we ask it, because I think it gives us some insight as to really who we're talking to. So here's the question. Who, in all of space and time, would you like to have 1 hour to enjoy a walk in the park, a quick lunch, or an intense conversation with?
Yeah, I love it. So for me, I personally would choose Jesus, regardless of what you believe. I truly think that that man is someone I would love to sit down with and just study and learn from. I'm obviously, very into my faith and what I believe, but regardless, like I said, I just think he's such a leader and such a powerful, impactful person in the world, and so I think you could just seriously learn. I know you could learn so much. So yeah, that's what I would choose. That'd be great. Be able to walk around in ancient times, with the great Christ. So yeah.
Sure. Well, again, he's about the most popular guy on the show when it comes to the space and time question. And as I mentioned before, listeners who have heard me say this, please forgive me for being boring for a moment. But, if I could arrange that for you, would it be okay if I came along on that walk?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll work on that.
All right, let me know.
I will, Alex. And here it is. This is the grand finale, the change the world question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is it that you are doing now or would like to do that truly has the potential to literally change the world?
So for me, I think it would be really cool, and I try to do this as much as I possibly can, and I'll continue to, but essentially just waking people up. And what I mean by that is really getting across to your average person that life is by design, that life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And waking them up in the sense that just allowing the average person to become aware that they're actually in control of a lot more than they probably realize, and that they truly can have, be, or do whatever it is that they want in this world. And so keep it short, that's truly what I would love to do. And again, that I try to do every single day is just really pouring into whoever I meet and just inspiring them to wake up a little bit and become more aware of what's going on, and that they actually can do things that they want to do and that they were put here for a purpose. So just waking people up.
That's a fantastic mission. We had a guest earlier this week who basically said something similar. And what they said was that it's one thing to be a shining example, but it's another thing to really spread the word and get active about spreading the word when it comes to helping people truly realize who they are. And all of us, every single one of us, has a story. Our origin story, if you like, or some people would basically call it the hero's journey story, the story that inspires. And if you could tell that story as often as you can in the biggest way possible to the largest group of people possible, you can change the world with your story. And I think that's part of what you're saying as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's got a story.
Exactly. Well, Alex, this has been a pleasure. It's been a learning experience. And for listeners, I hope you take advantage of what Alex has offered here, because I think what he's doing is pretty darn cool. So, Alex, you have made a lot of listeners a lot of money today just by helping them understand how to finally use the stupid social media platforms to actually make a buck. So thank you for that. And listeners, like I said, vote with your clicks. Go over to the show page and get in touch with Alex and get him to help you. He offered to do it. You might as well take advantage of that. Alex, thank you again for your time tonight, and I can't wait until we get a chance to talk again soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's been a lot of fun.
You've been listening to Your First 1,000 Clients with your host, Mitch Russo. Go to www.yourfirst1000clients.com for a free guide on how to get 1,000 of your own clients. And if you like this episode, please go to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and review.